Can you hear me? Okay na. Today is the feast day of Saint Andrew the Apostle, and the theme for today is Mary's participation on our faith journey. I would rather put their active participation, because if you notice the call of the Lord on all those He called to participate in bringing the good news to the people of God, you will notice that they were all busy people. Like Peter and Andrew, they were casting the nets into the sea. They were fishermen. And then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, they were helping their father mending the nets. We have Matthew, the apostle, was also busy trying to tabulate how many taxes he needs to put on to people. And when it comes to Mary, she was perhaps busy doing the chores of the day as well when she received the message. They were all busy. Means to say they were all active, because the call to the service in bringing the good news doesn't go to the people who relies on benefits, who relies on doing nothing, who relies on being lazy. We need active people to bring the good news. And the likes of Peter and James and Andrew and John, they were perhaps also the rejects of their time. Why? Because many teachers like Jesus have passed through their shores and failed to get them as their disciples. It's a privilege to become a disciple of a teacher in those days, and yet they were left behind. But the Lord saw something in them. Maybe because they were so hardworking, maybe because their love for their father, maybe because there's something in them that He needs to bring this good news to the people of Israel and far beyond. Andrew is the patron saint of Scotland. I knew that because I play golf. St. Andrews is where they invented golf. That's why we always pray to St. Andrews. So the importance of that being active as a qualification to become a sharer, a bearer of this faith to others. If you are lazy, perhaps it's not for you. I remember the first thing that I checked when people apply to become a seminarian for the Diocese of Auckland is to check their background, see if they are lazy or busy. If I knew that they are not working for quite some time, I'll probably say no. Because there's something about being active, it's being part of the ministry of the ministry of preaching the gospel to people. So there was this busyness, and there was this invitation from the Lord, come, follow me. But also part of that invitation is for the person to make a decision. The likes of Andrew, the likes of Peter, the likes of James and John, it's not easy for them to leave their livelihood and follow this person. To leave their father, perhaps quite old at that stage. Imagine that one, you're leaving them and to follow the Lord. When we come into our lives, there are always sacrifices that we need to do when it comes to the work of the ministry. We have to sacrifice something, and it's not easy because we have to make that conscious decision to leave something behind to follow the Lord. That takes a lot of guts, takes a lot of, soul searching, even have to, a wee bit of what we call discernment, especially discernment. What will this, work of ministry, of bringing the good news to my neighbor, to my office mate, to the person next to me will entail? It's not easy. It is not easy to testify to your truth. It's not even easy to look around in McDonald's and make the sign of the cross before you take the photo of the food you're going to take or say the prayer. It takes a lot of the discernment. But nowadays, that's what we're called to do. Mary made that conscious choice when she was presented this offer to become the mother of God. Do you think she didn't stop and think and said, okay, let me just evaluate this, while asking the angel, how can this be since I'm not yet married? At the same time, she was actually consciously considering, thinking the implication of that offer to become the mother of God. Because she knew, being from a priestly family, that if she found herself pregnant before marriage, she will be stoned to death. That's the consequences of her fiat, of her yes. She knew very well that her parents will be disgraced. With courage, with bravery, she said, I am the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be done to me according to your word. That leap of faith. And that's what we are called to do so. We yearly and we read and hear the text of that kind of fiat of Mary, or celebration of the Immaculate Conception of Mary. Let us continuously remember also the decisions made by those people, those in the stories. It is easy for us, for example, to jump into Christmas. We hear Christmas songs already. Tomorrow is the first day of December. And quickly before we know it is Christmas, let us this Advent take a pause and remember the decisions of the people who made that Christmas possible. The decisions of Joseph and Mary and Angel Gabriel, the busiest person that we will come to know. Oh, not person, the busiest angel we will come to know on how he has to go and convince people to be part of the great salvation story, of the greatest story the world has ever known. And for us as well, let us evaluate the decisions that we had in the past so that we can celebrate Christmas today. The decisions perhaps even for the past 2.5 years because of COVID, how we remain courageous, how we remain faithful into our faith, and not to cave in with the temptations to just, whatever, Lord, I'm walking away. There was this great inspirational person, a leadership person who gives talk. His name is Simon Sinek. I don't know if you've heard of him, but on one of the interviews, he shared his story about Phil Knight. If you don't know Phil Knight, he was the co-founder of Nike and used to be the chairman. And he was invited to give a talk. And he said to the group of people who were there in that conference, he said, how many of you here do running as a form of exercise? And many of them stood up. Okay, for those who were standing, how many of you here do running or jogging once a week? Still, a good number remain standing. How many of you here in this room do a form of exercise, either on treadmill or running outside, and outdoor activities at least 3 times a week? And there's still a good number of people. How many of you here, for those who were you standing, wake up every day, wakes up every day, put on your shoes, put on your gear, rain or shine, wake up in the morning, the forecast is really bad, it is very, very, windy, very dark, middle of the winter, there's a forecast of hail, and yet you dare to go and run. And still a number of people remain standing. And he said, this is what Nike is for. We are the ones who will be standing on the lamppost on that day bad day, rainy day, the weather was terrible, cheering for you, rooting for you. That's what Nike is all about. That's what Just Do It is all about. Just do it. You see, for Phil Knight, Just Do It is not all about winning. It's all about doing. It's all about waking up that morning and make that conscious decision to go and exercise and run. And people will be there on the lamppost cheering for you, for daring to do what other people would not, cover themselves under duvet and said, nah, I will do it some other time. There are very few people who will do that. Mary is also encouraging us, just like what she did. Do it. Say yes. Like Andrew, leaving their nets behind and follow the Lord. Because it's only in doing we will not know what will the product of all our labors in the future. But one thing is certain, it's all about the doing. It's all about the active participation. And there are people who will be cheering us along the way. And they are our companions. They are our compatriots. They are our families. They are our saints. They are our neighbors who believe in us. Amen.